I mentioned the name Barack Hussein Obama. Most of you already had something in your mind that you think of. He is a former president of the United States. And to be honest with you, I don't feel like he had our country's best interest at heart. All of that being said, there is starting to be more and more evidence to show you how sketchy Barack Obama was. Podcast 167 is going to discuss Operation Crossfire Hurricane, which was the investigation or Spygate into General Michael Flynn. And I want to ask the question, what did Obama know about Operation Crossfire Hurricane, which spied on a political rival, something they maliciously accused Trump of doing that they were doing themselves?
Welcome to Front Porch Politics, conservative conversation for a complicated country. And now, your host, the pontificator of common sense and coffee connoisseur, David Martins.
And thank you, Dr. Harrison, for that warm introduction. I am David Martins, the pontificator of common sense and your coffee connoisseur. Welcome you once again to Front Porch Politics Podcast. So, folks, in the opening, I asked you what you thought about Obama, and you already have your ideas in your mind. But let me carry that just a step further because I want to give you another name, General Michael Flynn. See, General Michael Flynn was absolutely screwed over by the system. He was threatened with bankrupting his son after he himself had already been bankrupted and he had been shamed and the media had tagged him as this horrible, evil person and a traitor to our country. People that were like Jim Comey, James Clapper, Peter Strzok, Bob Mueller, Susan Rice, all of these people came out and started saying that this man, General Michael Flynn, who is a military career person, he's the one who is colluding with the Russians. Different media outlets, even the Spew, picked this up, and a joyless Behar read the story to her crowd as they clapped and cheered, saying that Flynn was going to flip. He was going to confess that Trump had colluded with the Russians and that they were going to all go down. Trump was going to be removed from office. See, they lost. This party lost the 2016 election, and they cannot get over it. They want their ball, they want to go home, and then they want to deflate the one that you have at your house. These are terrible, criminal people. There is no way around it. And former President Barack Obama knew all about what was going on with Michael Flynn. He knew about the whole situation, and now this is going to be tagged as Obamagate. I even heard one commentator this last week say this was President Obama's blue dress, and that's a pretty good analogy because Obama's hands are all over what happened to General Michael Flynn and with the illegal wiretapping. So you may say, well, how do we know they illegally wiretapped? Well, that's a good point because the Justice Department is conducting this investigation now. William Barr is now conducting the investigation. So in a potentially related document, Acting Director of National Intelligence Richard Grenell has declassified a list of Obama administration officials involved in the illegal unmasking of General Michael Flynn's former conversations with former Russian Ambassador Sergei Kislyak. See, it's been alleged that Obama told former FBI Director James Comey and Deputy Attorney General Sally Yates of the intercepts of Flynn's conversations during a private Oval Office meeting in Obama's final days in office. Friends, I'm telling you, this was skeevy, this was conniving, this was crooked, and it was criminal. There was no other way to look at it. At the end of the day, they did not have a basis for counterintelligence investigations against Flynn at this stage or in his stage of the Trump administration and Trump transition team. This investigation was all being conducted by the Obama administration using the Logan Act. The Logan Act precludes American citizens from acting on behalf of the U.S. government overseas. But Flynn's contacts with a Russian diplomat came in the course of just actions amid the presidential transition team. So what Flynn was doing was absolutely legal. And just to let you know about the Logan Act, it was written into law late in the 1700s and has never been used in criminal prosecutions. So the outdated law, the Logan Act, is exactly what Obama was using. They knew what they were doing. Do you remember not long ago when Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and all these mush-brained socialists were saying that Trump had violated some of the parts of our Constitution like the Emoluments Clause? Yes, as the executive officer, he was violating the Emoluments Clause and he was getting gifts from Russia. He was getting gifts from other countries. I mean, give me a freaking break. This is where the most criminal people will be the first ones to point a finger at someone because they know what they're doing is criminal. As I said earlier, Barack Obama's hands were all over what happened to General Michael Flynn. His White House knew. The reason why they kept the narrative going so strong against Trump is because they knew what they were guilty of. It's the situation of the guiltiest dog barks first. And the media were more than happy to pick up the story and to run with it. For 4 years now, we've all heard how Trump colluded with Russia, how the people in his administration were part of Russian assets, how that General Michael Flynn was a spy. That's all you've heard. Even as of yesterday, NBC News had to go back after Chuck Todd made an incorrect statement because he edited film and did not play the whole part of a quote from William Barr, and they had to apologize. Now, of course, they did it very, very sneaky by just putting a post on Twitter, and that was all. I believe, now look, let's just be honest, Facebook suppresses this podcast. Twitter definitely suppresses this podcast. There are times that the people out there who listen to this podcast, follow this podcast, you never see my content. Trust me, friends, we have tested this with the many thousands of followers we have. We have had times when our post has only been seen by 3 or 4 people. With all of those followers, with all of those people. So there is no doubt that our conversations as conservatives is being suppressed. But yet the media cries free speech, so they can absolutely say anything. That is exactly what's going to take place here with Jim Comey and James Clapper, because it's not illegal for them to go on TV and to say something that's a lie. But when they all went behind closed doors, including Strzok, including Clapper, including Comey, including Rice, they all told the truth. And they all admitted that there was zero evidence. There was zero reason to investigate Michael Flynn, and they all know this, including Barack Obama. So what did Obama know? He knew the full details of this. And I know what you're thinking. Well, he's president. He has a lot of things going on. Obama knew everything that was going on in investigating General Michael Flynn. See, Flynn had already made Obama mad because he would not lie for him. Obama had asked him to do so, had asked him to say that he had destroyed the terrorist Al-Qaeda and that they were dead and gone. And Flynn would not do so because he knew there was a resurgence. And hence we have later on ISIS. Thanks, Obama, for that. We really appreciate it. You wanted to lie to the American people, and the media was happy to do so, and if anybody criticized you, well, they were a racist. And I'm sure I'll get tagged as one for saying this about him in the podcast. Friends, I don't care what skin color you are. It's a simple fact that Obama was a terrible president, and he lied, he manipulated, he covered up. Now, it's something that we as the private citizens have understood that politicians have done for years, but yet usually we want politicians held accountable. However, with Barack Obama and his staff, they failed at the time, and they knew that there would be no accountability for what they were doing. The reason why it should make us mad as private citizens is because they can do this to you and I. We should demand that these folks be held accountable. So I want to ask you to do something. I want to ask you, my fellow front porch, common sense, deplorable Walmart shopping people, call your legislator, call your people, demand they be held accountable. And I want to remind you of something while we're talking about accountability. Do you remember when Adam Schiff would go on TV and he told us time and time again how there was overwhelming evidence Trump had colluded, he had the evidence, there was a smoking gun. All of you know this. Well, guess what? Adam Schiff lied the whole time. And here's the difference. Because he is a member of Congress, he cannot be held accountable. He has immunity. So you tell me what you think. What did Obama know about the whole Russia investigation and what happened to Michael Flynn? Because I'm telling you folks, at the end of the day, I think Obama knew the whole time. Hey, be sure to